Welcome back to another science class. Today we'll be talking about electron shells, Bohr models, valence electrons, and we will also learn how to draw Bohr models. Let's get started. So to begin drawing a Bohr model, we're going to start with the atom helium. So helium is right here. We can see using the periodic table that its atomic number is 2 and it has a mass of about 4 atomic mass units. With this information, we can draw the whole atom. So protons and neutrons each weigh 1 atomic mass unit each. Electrons weigh almost nothing, so we won't worry about them. If the atomic mass of helium is 4, then we know that there are a total of 4 protons or neutrons in the nucleus. Let's look at the atomic number again. So the atomic number is the number of protons in the nucleus. There's the atomic number is the number of protons in the nucleus. This means that since the atomic number is 2, there are 2 protons in the nucleus of our atom. We can draw those first. So let's draw 1, 2 protons for this atom. Next, since the mass is 4, we need another 2 elements, which would be neutrons, to make the atomic mass 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 atomic mass units. That is the nucleus of our helium atom. Elements in the periodic table are all neutral. All the atoms in the periodic table have, which means they have no charge. This is because they have the same number of negatively charged electrons as they have positively charged protons. The atomic number of an element is the number of protons in the nucleus, and the atomic number of atoms, which are the elements in the periodic table, is the same number of protons as electrons. This means that there are 2 electrons in our atom. We need to make them orbit the nucleus, so we can draw a circle and then place 1 electron on either side. And this is a complete Bohr model of a helium atom. So if you followed along in your notebook, great job. If you're going, I would suggest drawing that for practice. Another way people more commonly draw Bohr models is by drawing the atomic symbol in the center in place of the nucleus and drawing all the individual protons. This saves some time drawing and counting individual protons and neutrons, which is especially tricky with heavier atoms like mercury, which have 80 protons. Down here you can see it has 80 protons, and you'd have to write 80 neutrons as well. We can draw the atomic symbol in the middle of the nucleus, then draw the electron shells. The first shell has a space for 2 electrons, and we can draw those. Let me draw that a little bit better here. 2 electrons, whoop, whoop. And the second shell, drawing another one around here, you can just make a second shell, would have space for 8. Electrons always fill their inner shells first, and then they fill the outer shells. In atomic theory, electrons orbit the nucleus at different energy levels. These are called shells, like we just mentioned, and they fill the shells closest to the nucleus first, then they fill the outer shells. Electrons in the outermost shell, like this, are called valence electrons. Valence electrons has to do with the Latin word valentia, which means strength. It is the valence electrons which form chemical bonds. Atoms are most stable when their outer shell is filled with electrons. Atoms tend to lose, gain, or share electrons to complete their outer shells. Let's make a more complicated atom now for practice and pick oxygen. So we can see that the atomic number here for oxygen is 8, and this means that the atomic symbol, if we're going to draw the second model here, we start by just drawing the atomic symbol, and then we go right to the electrons. So the first shell, like we just said, has space for 2 electrons. The second shell has space for 8, but we already have 2 of those, so we just need to put 6 electrons in the outer shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we have a complete Bohr model of oxygen. If you wanted to pick something like nitrogen, you could do the same thing where you pick nitrogen, the symbol, and then you draw the shells. The first shell is going to have 2 electrons, and then you have space for 8 more, but we only need 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which gives us a total of 7 electrons. And that is how to draw Bohr models.